Spain's next NBA draft pick will be Hugo González. This is Floor and Ceiling. Let's break him down. Hugo González hovers around the top 30 to 45 range on my draft board. The Spanish prospect is a feisty wing with NBA caliber athleticism who is in desperate need of playing time. González has barely seen the court with Real Madrid this season, which was to be expected as the club prioritizes proven, veteran players in pursuit of titles. This naturally affected González's draft stock, so teams will have to rely on his previous club tape as well as with the Spanish national setup. In an ideal outcome, González has the positional size and bounce to be an NBA wing. On defense, he can be disruptive with his motor and aggression. Then, down the other end, the Spanish wing would make his catch and shoots, attack closeouts, and offer some connective playmaking. However, Hugo's efficiency and most of all, his process remain way too rough for my liking. González is a very inconsistent shooter from three, and his dribbling, passing, and shooting is too out of control, too often in need of too much polish. As a result, his offense is a massive question mark for me, like I'm about to get into. His defense is much more theoretical than anything else. And finally, where exactly Hugo's development is right now is honestly a big question. González averages 10 minutes a game, his stretches on the court are very short, and his schedule probably won't let him work out for NBA teams before the draft. Getting into his role right now, and probably for NBA purposes, González is usually spotting up and waiting to make a decision. That means that the Spanish wing will need to make his catch and shoot threes. González is shooting about 29% from deep so far this season, having only made 22 threes in 61 games. This is small volume and very improvable conversion. Then I look at Hugo's previous percentages and I see 21%, 29, 23, 24, 26. Any volume of either significant size or against noteworthy competition has been a struggle. Still, González is a willing shooter who takes movement threes as well as easier spot-ups. Real Madrid will use Hugo in Spain pick and roll or curling around the free throw line. Plus, I appreciate how he never shies away from the ball. If González makes his threes, then he has the means to attack closeouts and such. The Real Madrid wing has a powerful first step and he operates with aggression and physicality near the basket. As a driver, he uses those items I just mentioned to get paint touches or foul shots. And then, as a passer, González doesn't make advanced reads or anything like that, but I think that he can make the basic necessary ones. Hugo will swing the extra pass, for instance, and I think that his decision making has improved over the last year or so. The game has seemingly slowed down a bit, which is good. Until now, a lot of what I'd seen from the 19-year-old was quite out of control. That's because González is athletic, but I'm not sure that he channels this in the most productive of ways. Hugo is only a straight line driver who gets rushed against length and loses balance versus contact. The decent news for González is that his NBA role early on and maybe always should be as an off-ball wing, kind of similar to what he does now. The Spanish prospect isn't that great of a spot-up shooter as we saw, so the hope is that he can pitch in on the boards, cutting aggressively towards the rim and leveraging his athleticism in transition. González does all of these things already with Real Madrid to varying interesting extents. He's an easy fit in the open court with his ability to get up and down the floor and finish above the rim. As a cutter, González is decisive, diving to the basket and similarly tapping into that run and jump athleticism. Then, his motor and capacity to make multiple efforts shows up on the glass. We saw these things at the top of the video. The problem, as with most of Hugo's game, is that we don't know exactly how this looks over a truly sustained period of time against high-level competition. And then, once again, everything has to really keep slowing down for him. A best-case scenario for González likely revolves around his blend of slashing, athleticism, motor, and previous track record of production. There's a case to be made that González was better at lower levels than Yegor Demin, Kasparas Yakuchonis, or Nolan Traoré, but they've actually gotten the minutes to keep growing and playing. Instead, Hugo's on-ball upside has really only been seen with Real Madrid's youth teams. It was there that the Spanish wing showed glimpses as a powerful straight-line driver who could use his first step to beat his man and get to the rim in only 1 or 2 dribbles. When he gets deep into the paint, González plays with contact to draw fouls, or sometimes and ones. Once he gets that initial blow-by, he can also use scoop finishes. I'll stress though, González is only really executing line drives right now. Outside of a high gather / float over that he uses, generally there isn't much craft in his drives. González has a loose handle that doesn't create many advantages. He's predictable as a slasher given that he can only really drive in a straight line to the rim, and he doesn't leverage his athleticism effectively enough as a finisher. Hugo lacks shake, he doesn't dunk much, everything is sort of one speed and one dimensional, and he still has real difficulties in traffic. Most of all, as I've been saying, González needs to keep slowing down. There's no creativity to his process most of the time, and his athletic advantages diminish as his level of competition scales up. This will be amplified even more in the NBA. At this juncture, I cannot project González creating his own shot to any extent in the league. This extends to his pull-up shooting. The Real Madrid wing is an erratic shooter. I'm not strictly focused on whether the shot goes in or not, although González will have to improve on that as well, but it's just that his process leaves me wanting more far too often. Hugo has a high arcing shot, his bad misses are very bad, his makes don't seem that easy, and he finds it pretty hard to create space off the dribble. His ball handling is really in need of improvement. On top of that, González doesn't stand out or create advantages as a passer either. He posted a 1-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio this season with similar numbers in the past. Any interest as a playmaker, in my opinion, comes in the pick and roll. González can make shrewd reads out of ball screens with flashes of live dribble, skip, and jump passing. I'd like to see him add more value, grabbing, and going out of defensive rebounds, although one could say that's pretty standard for wing prospects nowadays. Again though, and I'll emphasize this, these scarce signs have rarely been seen as a pro. Part of it is definitely Hugo's role and his minutes, but another chunk of it is that he cannot create enough advantages as a ball handler or as a scorer to unlock any passing. The former, his ball handling, is probably by far the biggest point of improvement still. Hugo's facilitating might be an underrated area of his game, but it won't be usable without other significant improvements across the board. González still turns the ball over too much, he cannot create space, his accuracy really wavers, he leaves his feet too often, and even though this has improved to some extent, his handle gets too out of control. Hugo González has a decent base as a defender thanks to his positional tools and, most of all, his motor. González is fast, twitchy to some extent, and he plays extremely hard. That last item is almost to a fault, but it also creates a lot of events. At previous youth levels, González was decently productive as a defender while also scoring, rebounding, and passing down the other end. Hugo racked up steals, jumping the passing lanes, and then turned those into two-way events down the other way. Gonzalez was also capable as a defender on the ball. Again, he never stops hustling, so he's just annoying and pesky to deal with. The Real Madrid wing can get into attackers, and he's hard to shake off when he's engaged. Finally, I also liked what Gonzalez showed as a low man. In general, Hugo can make some plays at the rim thanks to that NBA athleticism that I've kept mentioning throughout this video. The advanced numbers this season with a 3% block rate and a 1.2 steal rate look okay considering his context internationally and his lack of continuity. Overall though, I'm ultimately just not that high on his defensive outcome. Gonzalez is okay, he's fine, but that's about it. As I said, Hugo is twitchy and athletic to an extent. If he spots an errant pass, he can jump the passing lane and come away with the ball. But his athleticism isn't that fluid, and he's productive, but not at a level that particularly stands out to me. Gonzalez will be able to eat up minutes on NBA wings, but he'll have to raise his output and even just his level of responsibility considerably on the defensive end. What concerns me the most is that I'm not sure Gonzalez quite understands how to channel his motor and aggression. As is the case on offense, he's too out of control, too often, and sometimes it comes down to a lack of discipline, with avoidable fouls, up and down decision making, and nothing to really hang his hat on. Hugo's tools have not shown up as a pro, even if his current situation is challenging for a draft prospect. But even in previous settings for Gonzalez, I've always found his defensive plays to be more grounded in pure athleticism than advanced reads. On top of all of this, Hugo needs to close out possessions assertively, which he sometimes struggled to do with Real Madrid's senior team. This might mean not securing a defensive rebound, giving up a box out, or losing attention for just a split second. All of these things are going to be crucial in the NBA for Gonzalez because his offense is very much unproven. Right now, I consider both sides of his game to remain almost entirely theoretical, which is concerning given how long we've known about Gonzalez. But if he's going to play in the NBA early on and stick in the league, that will likely start on defense.